Hey guys, Sfrums here. Just wanting to look over a 10-minute game I played yesterday on chess.com. I was about 1759, my opponent was a very similar rating, and he opened with knight to f3. I played g6, and he fianchettoed, as did I, and then we both castled. But when he played d4, I played d6, and I'm going to be trying to come in on these dark squares with e5. So he also looks to be controlling the dark squares. And rather than just play knight b d7 or knight c6, I saw that if I move my knight back, there's no way he can really stop e5. Now, he probably shouldn't boot my knight with d5 because I'll just take his bishop. c3 was pretty weak though. It blocks in his bishop and it wasn't necessary to do that. But e4 is a kind of good move in my opinion. It stops me from maybe pushing my pawn to e4, getting space and booting his knight. But I start putting some tension on the center with f5. If he takes, I could take with the pawn, which opens my king a bit, or I could take with the rook. I'm not really scared about opening up my king. And I may have even played e4 and then taken with the pawn to create that pawn center that I was looking for. So when he boots my knight, I just go back. And I keep the tension. I don't push here. I probably could have, and then play knight f6, and then like bishop d7, queen c8, or something along those lines, but I wanted to keep the tension this game. h6, I'm going to play g5, knight g6, g4, f4, but I expected him to take this at any point, in which case I can recapture with anything comfortably, my pawn, knight, or bishop. So, one could argue that I should have left my pawn on g6 to recapture with the pawn, getting that bigger pawn center. But I had plans for g5, knight g6. This knight on e7 isn't doing enough. So now my pieces are all coordinated on the king side, whereas his bishop on b2 is trying to cut across the board, but this pawn chain makes it really hard to do so. His knight on d2 is stuck there. It can't come to e4. His knight on f3 literally has nowhere safe to go, and his bishop on g2 is kind of blocked in by his knight. So I think I have a nice position here. He reroutes his knight to e3. And instead of coming to h3, in which case he could have just dropped back, I thought bishop e4 made it so he'll eventually have to move the knight with something like g4, and then the bishops will get traded off. He actually chose to do it himself. And now with queen h3, we kind of see the idea of why my queen came to d7, to infiltrate the light squares. Now that he doesn't have a light squared bishop, it's going to be really hard for him to defend knight g4. I think his best bet here might be knight e3 or maybe f3, something to watch knight g4, because if he doesn't, it's impossible to guard h2. So on something like he resigned here actually, with h2 falling and his light squares being so weak, he just resigned here. But I don't think he should have resigned there, and I think something like, what did I say, knight e3 would have been worth a try. Alright, I was trying to analyze, but I apparently need to be a live member to do that. Here we go. So in this position, knight e3. And now, what do I do to continue here? I can look at sacrifices with like knight f4. I can play h5, h4, but it's a lot more difficult to break through. Just for the sake of seeing what might happen. He can always play queen f3 if he needs to. Now he has to defend though. I don't know, it's scary for him. I'm sure that isn't exactly what would have happened, but it is really scary for him. I don't know if that's good. He can't take either of these pieces because of queen g2. He can't move his knight because of queen h2. So something like rook f5 to either g5 or h5 looks to be one idea. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Bye.